Jake's hands trembled as he poured wine into 2 glasses, preparing for what he thought would be a romantic dinner with Emma. The candles flickered softly on their dining table, casting dancing shadows across the walls of their shared apartment. 3 years together, and in just 2 months, she would walk down the aisle toward him. Emma arrived home late from work, her expression distant. Jake noticed immediately the way she avoided his eyes, the tension in her shoulders. When she finally sat down across from him, she barely touched her food. "We need to talk," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. Jake's heart sank. Those 4 words had never led anywhere good. He set down his fork, trying to steady his breathing. "What's wrong?" Emma looked up, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. "I've been thinking a lot lately. About us, about the wedding." She paused, twisting her engagement ring nervously. "Jake, I love you. I really do. But I keep wondering if you're truly the one." The words hit Jake like a physical blow. He leaned back in his chair, struggling to process what he was hearing. "What are you saying, Emma?" "I ran into Daniel last week," she confessed, referring to her ex-boyfriend from college. "We talked for hours, and it brought up all these old feelings. I thought I was over him, but now I'm confused." Her voice cracked. "I need to know if what we had was real, or if I've been running from it all this time." Jake felt his world tilting. "You want to see him again?" "Just once," Emma pleaded, reaching for his hand across the table. He pulled away. "I need closure, Jake. I need to be absolutely certain before I marry you. Don't you want me to be sure?" The question hung in the air like poison. Jake stood up slowly, his mind racing through every moment they'd shared, the lazy Sunday mornings, the whispered promises, the future they'd planned together. And now she was asking for permission to explore feelings for another man. "How long have you been feeling this way?" he asked quietly. Emma looked down. "A few months. Maybe longer." The admission felt like a knife twisting in his chest. She'd been planning their wedding while doubting their entire relationship. Jake walked to the window, staring out at the city lights below, trying to find his voice through the pain. Jake didn't sleep that night. He lay beside Emma in their bed, the same bed where they'd made love countless times, where they'd talked about baby names and dream vacations, and felt like he was next to a stranger. Emma's breathing was steady, peaceful even, while his mind raced with 1,000 questions. By dawn, he'd made his decision. He waited until Emma left for work before making the calls. First, the wedding venue, then the caterer, the photographer, the florist. Each conversation felt surreal, explaining that the wedding was off. Some asked if they could reschedule for a later date. Jake simply said no, feeling a strange sense of clarity with each cancellation. His best friend Michael arrived that afternoon to help him pack. "Are you sure about this, man?" Michael asked, taping up another box. "Maybe she just needs time to work through her feelings." Jake shook his head, carefully wrapping a framed photo of him and Emma from their first vacation together. "She's had 3 years, Mike. If she's not sure now, she never will be. And I'm not going to be someone's backup plan." "That takes guts," Michael said, respect evident in his voice. "Most guys would wait around, hoping she'd choose them." "That's exactly why I can't stay," Jake replied, his voice firm despite the ache in his chest. "I deserve someone who doesn't need to test drive their ex-boyfriend to figure out if they want to marry me." When Emma came home that evening, she found half the apartment packed up. Her face went pale. "Jake, what are you doing?" "I called off the wedding," I said calmly, continuing to pack his books. "I've already spoken to the venue, the vendors. Most of them were understanding. You might lose some deposits, but—" "Wait, what?" Emma's voice rose in panic. "Jake, I just needed time to think. I wasn't asking you to cancel everything." He finally looked at her, really looked at her. She was beautiful, he couldn't deny that. But beauty wasn't enough. "Emma, you asked me if I wanted you to be sure about marrying me. The answer is yes, I do.
But the fact that you're not sure, that tells me everything I need to know." Emma rushed to him, grabbing his arms. "Please don't do this. I love you. I'm just scared of making the wrong choice." "Then go see Daniel," Jake said gently, pulling away from her grasp. "Get your closure. Figure out what you really want. But do it without me waiting in the wings."
The first week without Emma was torture. Jake moved into Michael's spare room, surrounding himself with hastily packed boxes and the ghost of his former life. He'd wake up in the middle of the night reaching for her, only to remember she wasn't there. Social media became a minefield. Mutual friends posting confused questions, Emma's vague status updates that Jake couldn't help but obsessively check. He learned through the grapevine that Emma had indeed met up at Daniel, multiple times. The news should have hurt more than it did, but instead Jake felt a strange sense of validation. He'd made the right choice. "You're handling this better than I expected," Michael observed one evening, finding Jake on the couch, reading instead of wallowing. "When Jenny left me, I was a mess for months." Jake closed his book. "I'm not handling it better. I'm just handling it differently. Every day I wake up and choose not to hate her for this. Hating her would mean she still has power over my happiness." But nights were harder. In the darkness, Jake would replay the relationship, searching for signs he'd missed. Had she always been unsure? Were there red flags he'd ignored because he was so in love? The questions haunted him, but they also taught him something crucial. He couldn't control Emma's feelings, only his response to them. 3 weeks after the breakup, Jake ran into Emma's mother at the grocery store. Linda's eyes filled with tears when she saw him. "Jake, honey, I'm so sorry. I tried talking to Emma, but she's being so stubborn." "Mrs. Peterson, it's okay. Emma needs to figure herself out. I just can't be part of that journey." Linda hugged him tightly. "You're a good man, Jake. Too good for her, apparently." She pulled back, studying his face. "You know, she's been miserable, right? She realized Daniel wasn't what she remembered. She wants to talk to you." Jake felt his heart skip, that treacherous organ still responding to Emma's name. "What would we talk about? She made her choice." "She made a mistake," Linda corrected. "Don't you believe in second chances?" Jake thought about it as he drove home, Linda's words echoing in his head. Did he believe in second chances? Yes, but he also believed in self-respect. The question wasn't whether Emma deserved a second chance, it was whether he deserved someone who never needed one to begin with. It was a Friday night when Emma showed up at Michael's apartment. Jake was in the kitchen making dinner, trying a new recipe to distract himself from the loneliness that still crept in during quiet moments. The knock was tentative, almost apologetic. Michael answered the door, then called out, "Jake, you've got a visitor." Emma stood in the doorway, looking smaller somehow. Her eyes were red-rimmed, her usual confidence replaced with uncertainty. She held a small box. Jake recognized it immediately as the one containing letters he'd written her over the years. "Hi," she said softly. "Hi." Jake wiped his hands on a towel, his heart pounding despite his best efforts to remain calm. "Can we talk, please?" Michael tactfully disappeared into his room. Jake gestures for Emma to sit on the couch, but he remained standing, maintaining distance between them. He needed that space to think clearly. "I made a terrible mistake," Emma began, her voice breaking. "Daniel and it wasn't what I remembered. Within hours of being with him, I knew. He's not you, Jake. Nobody is you." Jake crossed his arms. "So you're back because Daniel didn't work out. What if he had been everything you remembered? Would you be here right now?" Emma flinched at the question. "That's not fair." "Isn't it?" Jake's voice remained steady, though emotions churned beneath the surface. "Emma, you didn't just take a break to think. You went back to an ex-boyfriend to see if the grass was greener. And now that it's not, you want me to welcome you back with open arms?" "I love you," she said desperately, standing up. "I've always loved you. I just got scared of forever, of making the wrong choice and waking up at 50 wondering what if." Jake finally sat down, suddenly exhausted. "Do you know what the hardest part of all this was? It wasn't losing you. It was realizing that for all those 3 years we were together,
For all those nights we made love and talked about our future, you were never fully mine. Part of you was always wondering about him." Emma moved closer, kneeling in front of him. "That's not true. I was completely yours, Jake. It was only when I ran into him that the doubts started. And they were wrong. So completely wrong." He looked down at her, at the woman he'd planned to marry, and felt nothing. No, that wasn't quite right. He felt pity and sadness, but not love. Not anymore. The realization shocked him. "I'm sorry, Emma, but I can't do this."
6 months later, Jake stood in his new apartment, a modern loft downtown with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the river. He'd gotten a promotion at work, started training for a marathon, and discovered a passion for photography he never knew he had. His walls were covered with shots he'd taken, sunrises, city streets, candid moments of life happening around him. His phone buzzed with a text from Rebecca, a photographer he'd met at a workshop. "Still on for tonight? I know this amazing sushi place." Jake smiled, typing back a confirmation. Rebecca was different from Emma in every way. Confident without being cocky, adventurous but grounded. When she looked at him, there was no doubt in her eyes, no shadow of someone else. She was fully present, fully committed to getting to know him. He'd learned something profound from the Emma situation. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do for yourself is walk away. Not out of anger or revenge, but out of respect for your own worth. He'd refused to be someone's maybe, someone's backup plan, someone's safe choice after the exciting option didn't work out. Michael knocked on the open door, carrying a six-pack. "Ready for guys' night?" "Almost." Jake glanced one last time at his phone, seeing a notification from Instagram. Emma had gotten engaged. To someone new, not Daniel. Jake felt nothing but genuine happiness for her. She'd found someone, and he had found himself. "You know what's crazy?" Jake said as Michael settled onto the couch. "If Emma hadn't asked for that break, I might have married her. Spent years with someone who wasn't fully committed. Her asking to see her ex again? Best thing that could have happened to me." Michael raised his beer. "To dodged bullets and newfound freedom." Jake clinked his bottle against Michael's. "To knowing your worth and not settling for less." Later that evening, as Jake prepared for his date with Rebecca, he caught his reflection in the mirror. The man staring back at him was different from the one who'd been broken 6 months ago. Stronger, wiser, more at peace. His phone rang, Rebecca calling to say she was running a few minutes late. Her voice was warm, excited about their evening together. There was no hesitation, no doubt, just genuine interest and enthusiasm. Jake had learned the hardest lesson of his life. You can't make someone be certain about you, and you shouldn't have to. Real love doesn't require tests or comparisons or trips down memory lane with an ex. Real love knows. It's sure. It's present. And as he locked his apartment door and headed out into the cool evening air, Jake realized he wasn't just over Emma, he was grateful to her. She'd inadvertently taught him the most important lesson. Self-respect isn't selfish. It's essential. The city lights sparkled ahead of him, full of possibility and promise. Somewhere out there was a woman who wouldn't need to see her ex to know Jake was the one. And maybe, just maybe, he'd already met her. His phone buzzed again. "Rebecca, can't wait to see you." Jake typed back, "Me too." And he meant it. He was ready to move forward, carrying the wisdom of his pain, but not its weight. Emma had wanted to see if Jake was the one. In the end, Jake had discovered something more important. He was the one for himself. And that made all the difference.